moves away. The red lights will flick on and off, and then they'll be away. And James Dye first on the move, but Michael Booth from pole position gets a very good start there. James Wainwright up between the two of them, down into this extreme hairpin of hatchets they go, and James Wainwright running wide there, and oh, he's run right. He will recover. He's not gone into the gravel trap, but that's an absolutely horrible start for poor old James. Meanwhile, at the front, his closest rivals, well, away in the spray. Michael Booth it is that leads from James Dye, and then, well, they're hunting in packs there. I see Rob Guinan running around the outside of that clubhouse turn. And there, at the purple wet weather gear of Ben Cater, picked up a second place in the challenge earlier, and right at the back of the field, James Wainwright recovering from running wide at the hairpin. He'll have to try and pick his way through the field. He's a press-on sort of character, James. He will give it a go, and there indeed he is. He's picked off a couple of them already. But up front, Michael Booth once again. Well, Michael led for most of the earlier race and was just nicked at the last corner by James Dye. And there, a lovely shot of AJ Hutchinson. He's the young Irish rider who's been the camera bike for the last few events. And Michael Booth then still in the lead from James Dye, and up into third, Josh Cahill, who's got another wonderful start. He had a good race earlier on. There, once again, we see AJ. Green wheel at the front, red at the back. That's so he knows which way to sit round on the bike. And the lead is coming back down towards us. And look at Josh. He's got away from the chasing group, and he's latching himself onto the leaders, absolutely flying in these conditions. Oh, and flying he does straight off on the entry into Honda. He's up and away. He has a... Oh, he thinks... I'll tell you what, he's like every rider, isn't he? He thinks, will that go again? Go on, I'll give it... Oh, all right, I won't. And trudging back to the marshal's post. What a shame, Josh having such a good run up to then. There's Ben Cater. Again, we can pick him out easily with those purple wet weather overalls on over his leathers. And there in third place, after the disappearance of Josh Cahill, we have Rob Guinan being chased by Steve Smith and AJ Hutchinson. AJ running up in fifth place. I think that's the highest position he's run all year. So another young rider who's learning and riding well in these horrible conditions. Third, fourth and fifth running down towards us once again. And AJ's dad, a regular attender at these events, and he's always got his video camera with him, making the movie of the son's racing career. And Michael Booth and James Dye getting away a little at the front. Well, poor old Michael Booth, you wonder at this stage what he must be feeling. This was the pattern in the earlier race. He led, and he led well. He just couldn't shake off James Dye, and James nabbed him in the end. Meanwhile, further back, James Wainwright is gradually carving his way through the pack after that horrible start. There's Paul Davis, who picked up a trophy for third in the challenge in the earlier race. But James Wainwright has already blown past him and making progress up the field. James will be on the ragged edge. He will not want to make any sort of mistake, but he knows he's just got to press on to the checkered flag. The two leaders, you see, already open up a significant advantage over the rest at this stage in proceedings. And Michael Booth trading fastest laps with James Dye, but quicker than either of them at this stage. James Wainwright, as he works his way through the field, regularly clocking fastest times. Lovely shot in these conditions there. Look at that of James Dye in second place, a relentless pursuit. And just as Michael Booth must be worrying, when is James Dye going to come at me? James Dye will be thinking, well, when do I make my move? Do I save it to the last lap? Well, we see further back Tony Hart there, just ahead of Paul Davis, and in front of the two of them, Ricky Chadwick. Those are the challenge runners. So far, the Michelin Young Guns have had things almost entirely their own way this season. Tony Hart nearly disturbed them by winning the Super Bowl race, but in fact just ended with 4th place in that. As the leaders once more down towards Honda Curve, the marshals standing there absolutely soaked to the skin. We mention them time and again, but hey, it's worth mentioning. It's a long old weekend for them, and they will be not just soaking wet but freezing cold as well. Michael Booth and James Dye, though, at the moment oblivious to all that. It's just heavy concentration time as far as they're concerned. Michael desperate not to make the slightest error, and James Dye sussing out the lines, every corner, every straight a possibility. Is he going to save his big effort for the last corner of the last lap once again? Well, at the moment he's turning up the wick and closing in on Michael ahead of him. Good to see these 2 young riders not giving in either to the conditions or to the pressure. And there, James Wainwright, he's still flying, still the quickest runner out there, carving his way through the field, desperate to get decent points at the end of this. And James Dye almost pulling up alongside Michael Booth as they run down towards that wicked hairpin of Hatchets once again. That long straight, by the way, was an ex-runway when the RAF had Pembrey as an airbase. I think it was decommissioned in the early 80s. There, this great battle for 3rd place. Rob Garner just nipping up the inside ahead of Steve Smith and AJ Hutchinson riding shotgun at the back of him there. And as they go down towards DeBenny, well, Rob Guinan runs a little wide on the entry and Steve Smith nicks that position again, but Rob Guinan coming back on the inside at Clubhouse Corner. So at the moment, Rob Guinan up into 3rd ahead of Steve Smith, and AJ right there to pick up the pieces should anything go silly ahead of him. Which, of course, we hope for their sakes it doesn't. But as we come to the closing stages of this race, leaders coming up on back markers. There's David Giffel going through the shot, and there's Michael Booth and Michael Eglinton also there. And Michael Booth runs wide, and James Dye could take advantage. And sure enough, he sticks it up the inside. They got past one of the slower bikes. They've still got another one to deal with. Oh, poor old Michael Booth. He's led every inch of this race so far. Surely it can't happen again. He led most of the earlier one and was just done on the last corner. Oh, it's deja vu time, one feels. James Dye hits the front. Michael Booth now. They've got clear of the slower runners. It's just going to be a flat-out blast to the finish. But, oh, Michael must be feeling pig sick with this. He's still having to concentrate so hard in these conditions. But look at him, head down. I want that lead back. Little nod of the head there. He will be absolutely furious. James Dye, absolutely exultant, though. This could be 2 races, 2 wins for James Dye here at Pembrey this weekend. Fantastic stuff as far as he's concerned. And there, the checkered flag. It goes the way of James.